Hello, Math 96. Happy Thursday. So we're going to do something that is not in your notebook today. So I need you to take out a piece of paper. And this is just going to be a practice to simplify answers. When you're done with this practice with me, I need you to upload your work paper from home, from the problems that we're going to do on this video, to the digital workbook for assignment number 61, okay? Then there's no homework tonight. So this is going to help you with the homework that we had on Tuesday for assignment number 59. Here we go. Okay, take a minute to write down, 5 problems? Okay, hit pause if you need a minute to write down the problems. Right now, I want you to watch me. Okay, pay attention. Okay, so the last lecture that we had on chapter 8.1, I think it was pages 97 and 98. If I remember right, let me make sure that's right. I think that was right. So what we did was we solved, and then I had some students who were having some difficulty with simplifying answers. So these are just all the different options of how an answer can come up, and I want you to watch for a pattern. So the lesson from that was to go ahead and take square roots on both sides and add in a plus or minus. When you do that, then this square is eliminated by the square root and out pops x. Okay, so let's focus on the right side. Do we have to reduce plus or minus square root 11? Well, no, we can't break down 11. There's no perfect number inside 11. It's just 11. So this is our final answer because we cannot reduce square root of 11. Okay, so then the next one, you add square roots on both sides, add the plus or minus. Out comes the x. And now let's focus on the right side. Can you reduce the square root of 49? Well, sure. Square root of 49 is 7. You know that. So the final answer here is plus or minus 7. Regular 7, no more radical. Okay, the next one looks very similar, but it has negative 49. So you take the square roots on both sides, add plus or minus. Out comes x. So now we have to reduce square root of negative 49. When you have a negative inside a square root, then out comes I, right? Now, I showed you how to break it down into square root of 49 times negative 1. Out comes 7. Out comes I. Or, I'm just going to write it again so I have some more room here. You should just know that every time you have a negative, you have to take out I. Okay, so x is equal to plus or minus square root of 49 is 7, and the negative comes out as I. That's your final answer. Okay, the next one, square root or x squared equals 75, we're going to have to break down. So we're going to take square roots both sides. Out comes x, and we have to reduce square root of 75 because there's a good number inside 75. We can break up 75. How many quarters are in your hand? 25, 3 quarters, 25 times 3. So who's out and who's in? Who's out and who's in? Out is 5, in is 3. So x is equal to plus or minus. You cannot forget that, okay? You have to do the plus or minus. Don't forget. Out is 5, in is 3. And that's the final answer. Okay, the next one's very similar, but it has the negative 75. So we're going to have to deal with I. So square roots both sides. Don't forget to add the plus or minus. So out comes x is equal to plus or minus square root negative 75. So for negative 75, we have to break it up. So we have negative 25 times 3. For the negative, out comes I. For square root 25, out comes 5, and 3 stays in. So final answer would be x is equal to, don't forget the plus or minus, out is 5, out is I, in is rad 3. Okay, now I want you on the next slide. Hit pause if you need a minute on here to write anything down. I mean, I could make this a little better for you if you want me to. These are all your final answers. Okay, is that better? All right, now on the next slide, I want you to try these. So go ahead and hit pause. Write those down, hit pause, and try them on your own. Please invest just a few minutes of your own thought power and try them on your own instead of just listening to me again. Okay, please do that and then come back to this video. Practicing on your own is important. Hit pause. All right, thank you. I hope that you did these on your own so that you can correct an error if you have an error, right? Okay, so I'm going to do them for you. All right, square roots both sides, add plus or minus. X comes out, plus or minus square root 5. I can't change square root of 5. It's just square root of 5. Next side, take square roots on both sides. X comes out, and I have to think about square root of 81. 81 is a perfect square number, so it's plus or minus 9. Pair of 9s in there. Out comes 9. Next one, take square roots both sides, add plus or minus. Now I have to deal with negative 81 in the square root. So for the negative, out comes I. Square root of 81, out is 9. So the answer is x is equal to plus or minus 9i. Next one, square root both sides, add plus or minus. Out comes x. I have to break down 50. How many quarters are in my hand? For 50, 2 quarters, 25 times 2. Out is 5, in is 2. So x is equal to plus or minus 5. Don't forget the plus or minus, rad 2. And the next one's the same, except it's going to have a I in it because it has negative 50 in there. Every time we have a negative, we have to deal with I, imaginary numbers. Okay, so for the negative, out is I. 50 is going to be broken down into 25 times 2. Out is 5. In is 2. Final answer is plus or minus 5i, rad 2. Okay, hope you got those right. If not, keep working with me. We have another screen to do, and it'll be the same kind of practice. So just hang in there. We'll get this. Next screen. Okay, go ahead and write those down. I think this time you really do have to hit pause because that's a lot to write. Please hit pause. Write them all down and hit pause. And then come back to the video. Okay, I hope you hit pause. Okay, so take square roots both sides, add plus or minus on the right. When you take the square root of a quantity x plus 3, the little 2 is eliminated by the square root, and out comes x plus 3. Equal to, and the right side just says plus or minus square root of 100. And then I'm just going to go ahead and write that because I know the square root of 100 is 10. Because, right, 10 times 10 is 100. So you have a pair, and out comes 10. Okay, now what do we do with this? Okay, what do we do? I'm just going to write it again. What do we do with this? We have to solve for x. So we have to go over the equal sign, right? If we do that, we do opposite. So, excuse me, we have to subtract 3. Where does that subtract 3 go on this side? Right in front of the plus or minus. So this would say 3 minus 3 is 0. And we're going to put the minus 3 on this side too. It's a little hard for me to write. Okay. So that will say, I'm going to change colors because I think that might help. x equals -3 plus or minus 10. Now, because these are regular numbers, a -3 and a 10, no more radical symbol, no more square root symbol, just regular 10, we have to break this up into two answers and do the math. So I like to draw it like this. So this says -3. If I ignore the bottom part here, let me just pin this for a minute. If I ignore, hey, no fair. Hold on a minute. I'm sorry. Let me find my eraser real fast for you. Hold on, I was trying to be fancy. Okay. -3 plus 10. See how I erased that minus sign on the bottom? Now I'm going to put it back in. And now the other one is -3. If this weren't here, -3 minus 10. So that's what the plus or minus does. You have two problems. The top one is -3 plus 10, and the bottom one is -3 minus 10. And then you have to do that math. Well, that's okay. -3 plus 10, that's the same as 10 minus 3. That's 7. And on the bottom, -3 minus 10 more is -13. If you're not certain about that, use a calculator. You can use a calculator on that. Make sure you get the right amount. Okay. So those are our two answers, regular answers of x is equal to 7, and you can also write x is equal to -13. Take a minute to write all that down. Hit pause, because I'm going to erase it, okay? I need a little, well, I'll leave it there for now. We'll see if I need the room. Okay, here's the next one. Square roots, both sides, add plus or minus. The little 2 is gone, and out comes x minus 4, plus or minus rad 6. To get x alone, we need to pop this right in front, and we do the opposite because we're going over equals. So add 4. So our answer would be 4 plus or minus square root 6. Check. Can you reduce square root 6? No. So that's our final answer. Now, in my classroom, I like you to write that as the final answer, okay? I'm going to talk about what that means. So just listen for a minute. What this means, and I don't want you to write it down, just listen. 4 plus square root 6, 4 minus square root 6. It means those two answers. X is this amount and X is that amount. Now, I will talk later about how much that is. I mean, is that even really worth the number, and how do I figure that out? I'll explain that later on another video. But right now, I just wanted to show you that it does break up just similar to what we did over here with the 3 and the 10. But we don't write that because it doesn't help us in math. We just know that it means this answer means 4 plus rad 6, 4 minus rad 6. Okay, and we'll talk more about what decimal that is. All right, let's keep moving on. Square root both sides, add plus or minus. So x plus 8 comes out is equal to plus or minus square root 75. Ooh, sorry. Gosh, I hope I didn't lose you. My recording. Oh, no, there you are. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is pop this 8 in front of there, and we're going over equals, so subtract. So x equals, so -8 on both sides, -8 plus or minus square root 75. Can we break down square root 75? Focus right here. Can you break it down? Yes. 25 times 3. Who's out and who's in? Right? So that's what we have to do. Now, x, the equals, the -8, and the plus and minus are done. We have to deal with just this square root 75 and break it down. So who's out and who's in? Well, out is 5, in is rad 3. So square root of 75 breaks down into 5 rad 3. And that would be our final answer then. X is equal to -8 plus or minus 5 rad 3. Okay, let's do one more. Square roots both sides, add plus or minus. Take out x plus 3. So we have to finish up square root of negative 16. What happens when we have a square root of a negative number? Out pops I, right? Okay, so let's pop the 3 over first. So subtract 3 to both sides. That would give us x is equal to negative 3 plus or minus square root negative 16. The x, the equal, the negative 3, the plus or minus are fine. We just have to clean up square root negative 16. Well, okay, so for negative, out is I. And then square root of 16 is just 4. Out is 4. So this would be 4i. Because isn't the square root of negative 16 4 and then I? Right? And that would be our final answer. Negative 3 plus or minus 4i. Okay. Next slide. You're going to try these 4 on your own. Please hit pause. Please try them on your own. Take the square roots both sides and reduce. Please don't just listen to me do it. Please hit pause and try it on your own, okay? So this is the last part of the school year, and it's part of your project that we're going to do. So I need you to try on your own. And then come back to the video and check. Okay, I hope you hit pause and did these all on your own. So here we go. Square root, add plus or minus. Out comes x minus 5 is equal to plus or minus 7. Because square root of 49 right here equals 7. Right? Then I have to pop over, let me erase that. Pop over this negative 5, so I add 5 to both sides. So x is equal to 5 plus or minus 7. That's 2 answers. 5, I'm going to put it underneath here. 5 plus 7, 5 minus 7. 5 plus 7 is 12. 5 minus 7 is negative 2. All right, so it breaks up into 2 answers. 5 plus 7, 5 minus 7. Next one. Square root both sides, add plus or minus. X plus 2 equals plus or minus square root 10. Pop the 2 over, I'd be subtracting it. So x equals negative 2 plus or minus square root 10. Final answer, I cannot reduce square root 10. We talked about that in class. I just want to clean up my negative 2 here. You can't break down 10, you guys. Square root of 10 is just square root of 10 because there's no pairs in there. It's 5 and 2. There's nothing that matches. Okay, square root both sides, add plus or minus. So out comes x minus 13 equals to plus or minus rad 50. 50 can be broken up into 25 and 2, so I'm going to pop my negative 13 over by adding 13 to both sides. So x is equal to 13 plus or minus square root 50. 50 goes into 25 times 2. 5's out, 2 is in. So x equals, I don't like this here. Okay. X equals 13 plus or minus. Out is 5, in is 2. Last one's going to have an I in it because it's negative 20. Also, I know I'm going to have to break up 20. 20, right, the negative will come out as I. 20 is 4 and 5, so I hope you broke that up. Okay, out comes x plus 9 equals plus or minus square root negative 20. Pop my 9 over, subtract 9 to both sides. X would be equal to negative 9 plus or minus square root negative 20. Negative comes out as I. 20. 4 and 5. Out comes 2. In stays 5. Final answer. X equals negative 9 plus or minus 2I, rad 5. I'm highlighting all the final answers. Okay, we're going to keep working on this. You can also come into tutoring, intervention, right? This week, Thursday and Friday, every week, Thursday and Friday. So if you missed this morning, Thursday, you can always come in tomorrow morning. I sent an invitation into Google Classroom. Okay, I hope this helped, and we'll see you tomorrow on Friday. Have a great day, you guys.